Butker trying to line this up. Winchester will snap it. Colquitt will hold it. .2020 tie. High snap pulled down. Butker's kick is out. It is right down the boulevard. It's good. And the Chiefs take a 23-20 lead with 4 seconds left in regulation. And Harrison Butker kicks some. You know what? Welcome to the Chiefs Kingdom.
How's it going, Chiefs Kingdom? You're listening to the Arrowheads Abroad Podcast with myself, Brad Simcox, and the Arrowheads Abroad Supremo himself, Tom Childs. How we doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm quite excited actually this week. I know we've got no Dave. We haven't put him in the intro today because we don't know where he is. Again,
it's like the good old days.
Yeah, the good old days. I'm back, and he seems to be just swanning off doing what he does best. I think
it's like Alex Smith isn't playing quarterback, or is playing quarterback, because whenever Alex Smith had a bad day, Dave never turned up to the podcast.
No,
since Mahomes has been playing, he's been ever present. So
yeah.
Maybe Alex Smith is back at quarterback, because after all, we are playing the Detroit Lions this weekend.
It is,
and the last time we played the Detroit Lions, it was a very good day, shall we say?
Yeah, we were just saying this before. This game really kind of we're holding in our hearts a little bit, don't we? From a personal point of view, especially for UK fans, because this is, for a lot of us, it was the first time we got to saw the Chiefs live in our own backyard, and it was. I mean, that day at Wembley in 2015 was just special, wasn't it? It was a special day for everyone.
And not just because of the football. It was a special day for us too, because it's actually the day we met, Brad.
It is.
It was.
Yeah. I was a competition winner.
You were. You were a competition. You won that jersey, that infamous number 15 jersey that everyone confuses for a Mahomes jersey from the front, but when they turn around, they actually see that it says Wembley on the back.
Do you know, you're just saying that there. I put the picture on Twitter the other day, and I put on there, it was in 2015. This is me and mate at the Lions game, and somebody straight away said, "Hang on a minute, why you're wearing a Mahomes jersey in 2015? How are you doing that?" And I was like, "Time travel, mate." You know, I think they thought I'd been superimposed on this picture. You know, I was like, found you out.
They've been clearly listening to the Back to the Chiefs podcast I reposted today, where we actually went back to 2015 and celebrated that win.
Yeah, I mean, even when we went back on that podcast, it still didn't really. I don't think it captured the whole excitement of the whole thing. I mean, I know we get some Americans who are saying, the game shouldn't be leaving America, and I get that. I understand that. It's like a Premier League football team going and playing across over in Asia Cup or something like that, isn't it? It doesn't sit right with us when your team's flying off somewhere else, and you're thinking, well, they should be here. They should be playing at home at Arrowhead in front of us. But there was a lot of Americans there. There was a lot of Kansas Cityans there as well, weren't there? That just made that day special, because we were meeting up with them for myself, it was a lot of them for the first time.
Yeah.
But you'd obviously arranged a lot of the parties and everything that was going on. You had the pub that you had actually Clark had turned up, didn't he?
We did. I'm not going to take credit for that one myself.
You should do, mate.
I turned up, but no, I didn't arrange that one. But we did plenty of cool things that weekend. And should the Chiefs come over to London again, I'm sure we'll do plenty of other cool things. And I'm sure interest would be even higher in this particular game, because Mahomes would be the guy coming across. And I'm sure plenty of people from Kansas City would travel across after hearing the success story of 2015 and hearing from their friends that how much of a good time it was in London. I'm sure the Chiefs fans would double in numbers this next time in London. It would be such a surreal experience if it happened again, and hopefully we'll be talking about this in a year's time. It's only a matter of months until the NFL UK release what teams will be coming across, and we're expecting 8 teams to come across yet again. 2 games at Tottenham, 2 games at Wembley, and hopefully the Chiefs can be one of those teams before Mahomes becomes so good that the NFL simply do not want to send him abroad, because they need him in at home filling stadiums.
He is an ambassador of the NFL over here, though, isn't he? He's one of the players that's an ambassador. So I'm kind of hoping that they're gonna lean on that a little bit and bring him over.
What you don't want it to happen is you don't want the Chiefs to become such a an entity and such hot property that we find the Chiefs in the situation what the Packers are in at the moment, because the Packers have got Aaron Rodgers and they travel so well. The NFL International Committee are finding it so hard to get the Packers across to London, because every time they go to an away game, it's a guaranteed sellout for that team, because they've got Packers and Aaron Rodgers coming into town. Where if Mahomes carries on the way that he's going, he's going to become like the LeBron James of the NFL, where every stadium he goes to, he will fill it up. And if that happens, then it's going to be harder and harder for the NFL to bring Mahomes and the Chiefs across to London. So we need it to happen like sooner rather than later before it becomes impossible.
Yeah, let's hope it happens soon. I know we've got the Mexico game again this year, isn't it?
We do.
Which might not play into our hands for next year, but you never know. Next couple of years, you never know.
Fingers crossed.
Happen. So fingers crossed. We'll talk about the Lions, obviously, because this is the preview show. But I just wanted to give us a bit of an update on the Chiefs news. Now, it all seems like it's the Mahomes news at the minute.
It is.
Because
I have to put that stuff together every morning for Arrowhead Pride. Trust me, I know it's Mahomes news. I must filter through about 100 different Mahomes stories every single day.
Mahomes mania, isn't it?
Mad.
Well, I mean, one of the news stories that came out is it looks as though he could be signing a $200 million contract at the end of the season, basically. And
just that.
What?
Just 200 million, is that
just 200 million? I mean, to everybody else, he's probably priceless. But I mean, can you see Mahomes going for something that big of a contract? Because he seems quite a humble guy.
He seems a very humble guy, but I'm sure he wants to make his money, and he will make money elsewhere. But he's going to make a load. He's going to make a load from this contract, and he deserves every single penny. I don't want to hear people calling out for him to take a cheaper deal, because he doesn't have to. He's deserved of this contract, and you never know. The CBA might come along, it might change, and the salary cap might go up loads. So in 2 or 3 years' time, 200 million might seem quite cheap compared to the deals that I don't know, like who was the first quarterback taken this year? I can't even remember. Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Kyler Murray. Yeah.
See, Kyler Murray, if he plays well, then his contract might be worth even more than that in a few years' time, because it tends to be the next contract is the most expensive one, especially with the guys got talent. So with the salary cap, and when those deals come up, and if the cap goes up, then Mahomes might look like a bargain. 200 million, who's going to say no if you offered Mahomes a 200 million 5-year deal right now? I know we'd all be happy with it. He'd be happy with it. Just it makes too much sense. Get this guy under contract next year.
Yeah, exactly. And I totally agree with you, mate. I really do. But I mean, let's talk about how he's actually got to this standard, because recently we've all seen the first 3 weeks of this season, and we saw all of last season. You know, the guy just does not miss a beat. I think he had one bad game against the Jags where he didn't score a touchdown pass or something?
Yeah, but that was the Jags defense, which was incredible. I wouldn't
exactly.
say he had a bad game. He controlled the ball quite well and just kept the offense ticking along and put us in scoring position. So I wouldn't say it was a bad game.
But to any other quarterback, that was a great game.
Yeah,
but for Mahomes, it's a bad game. You know.
Yeah.
So, but I just wanted to talk about the first 3 weeks of the season, because I think everybody's seen it, especially all across Chiefs Kingdom, and quite a few people are enraged by it. But this new PFF grade system that they seems to have, this algorithm that seems to have worked out, that Patrick Mahomes sits 6th best in the league in the first 3 weeks of the season. How is that even possible? He tops every single stat, every single chart on there, and yet he's 6th, and he's only one place ahead of Derek Carr.
Never mind stats. Never mind grading systems. The eye test alone is enough. Mahomes is playing at a level that we've not seen from a quarterback in a long, long time. He is dicking on the rest of the league right now.
That's a very British phrase, that, isn't it?
It's not even close. Like Tom Brady, number 1, Dak Prescott, Carson Wentz, all these guys ahead of them. Yes, they're playing well, and they are playing really well. Like Tom Brady looks very good so far this season.
He does look all right, yeah.
But Mahomes is playing out of this world. And to be honest, all PFF have done has done themselves a lot of damage, because now people are looking at this grading system going, well, if he's 6th, I'm certainly not subscribing to you, because your system is broken.
Yeah.
It has to be broken.
If he's 6th, I'm 8th.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Because have you heard about what the algorithm's meant to be working out?
It's something to do about with interceptions that should have happened.
That should have happened, yeah.
Okay,
if that's the case, I'm going to be number 1 on that.
Yeah.
I'll have interceptions and should have had interceptions, because it's just it's crazy to think that they put that kind of algorithm in there, that stat in there. It's like, yeah, I mean, was he intercepted?
No.
There we go. There's no interceptions. He's 0 interceptions for the first three games.
Exactly, and what they do is they're essentially penalising for players trying to make tougher throws.
Yes, exactly.
That's all they're doing, tighter windows. So Mahomes is going for the outworldly plays because he has the outworldly ability, but PFF are going to downgrade him because he's going for those throws. It's stupid.
It is.
I'm not being funny. Mahomes has essentially broken PFF for all Chiefs fans.
It's broken. So he's broken the Jags, he's broken the Ravens, and now he's broken PFF. Is that what you're saying? He's just a demolition, isn't he?
Exactly. Why would you listen to any quarterback grading system that PFF throws out now after ranking Mahomes 6th so far this season?
6th?
It clearly doesn't work. Their system is broken.
Carson Wentz is 3rd.
Yeah, I'm okay with him being 3rd as long as Mahomes is 1st. But the fact that Mahomes is 6th just shows how rubbish the whole system is. And the fact that they need to blow it up and start again so it can become Mahomes-proof. Because at the moment, he is destroying every type of record going and he's destroying every type of grading system going.
Exactly.
He's a phenomenon.
But you know what? The folks at Madden have righted that wrong.
Yes, they have.
They came swooping in there and went, do you know what? You're a 99. You're not a 98 anymore. So there you have it. So he's the best quarterback out there, bar none.
Do you reckon they've done that on purpose?
Of course they have. They've thought, you know what, we'll swoop in now and we'll look like the good guys, you know.
Yeah, no, it's true. But I actually was wondering whether they were going to downgrade him to the 6th best quarterback on Madden. But, you know.
91. You'd be like, what?
But no, they made him the best, rightfully so. So, yeah, Madden over PFF.
Yeah. Now, the other thing as well is that Mahomes seems to be breaking the Hall of Famers. He's just sweeping through the whole of the NFL Hall of Fame at the moment, and he's got to Troy Aikman. Now, this isn't anything that Mahomes has done. Well, you could argue he has done this because it's his stats that's kind of brought this up. But
yeah, don't play well in case you get people bring up news that can offend Hall of Famers. Pat, Cross, what are you doing, mate?
Now, Seth Kaiser and a good friend of the show, Seth Kaiser and Josh Briscoe from The Athletic have actually rocked Troy Aikman in a way because they stated, wasn't it? Let's have a look. Now, they've stated that Mahomes already has 36% of Aikman's career touchdowns in 8% of the games that Troy Aikman's played. Mm-hmm. And all I can think is that Troy Aikman got triggered by this, completely triggered by it. And he put a tweet out, quoting that other tweet from The Athletic, saying, "Talk to me when Mahomes has 33% of my Super Bowl titles." Now, if you're Patrick Mahomes, you must be reading this and thinking, what have I done? What the hell did I do?
Mahomes, who is like the nicest guy in football.
Yeah. He probably loves Troy Aikman, and he probably, he appreciates any Hall of Fame. I mean, everybody
he's a
does.
Texas kid, isn't he?
Exactly. And then to have this on your doorstep and think, well, I've not said anything, I've not mentioned anything. What the hell's going on? I mean, Seth and Josh, I mean, they dug up gold when they got this.
And it was very tongue-in-cheek when they said it, but next thing you know, it's a national story and Troy Aikman has just blown this whole thing up. What I want to happen is to when Mahomes wins the Super Bowl, that Josh Briscoe and Seth Kaiser actually go back to Troy Aikman and talks to him then. I actually want it to happen.
Just retweet him again. Yeah. No, that would be good. But I mean, Mahomes, and we could go on about him all night and all that, but we do have a game to talk about, which is going to be against the Lions. And I must admit, I'm going to start first of all with saying the Lions fans, I really like the Lions fans. I've had a great time with them when they were over here, so I've got nothing bad to say about the Lions. And they've been doing all right, haven't they, this season? Yeah,
there's nothing offensive about the Detroit Lions.
No.
They're just like, I don't mean this horribly, but they are a nothing team. Like, the most offensive thing they've probably ever done is cause 2 Hall of Famers to retire far too early.
Yes.
That's probably the worst thing they've done. But outside of that, how has the Detroit Lions ever offended anybody? No. They're the whipping boys of their division traditionally.
Yeah.
And they just don't do anything. Like, they play in a city that bought us Ford. Motor City. And I happen to drive a Ford, so I'm
thanks for listening, folks.
Top draw analysis on the Arrowheads Abroad podcast.
And Tom, they brought us Ford. I like Ford. So there we go. End of our analysis. I like Ford
week. That's going to be the snippet that I edit out for social media post.
Well, let's have a look at the previous games, because I can't believe you said that about Ford. I have a Ford, so therefore I like Ford and I like Detroit.
8 Mile's a good film.
Yeah.
Home Improvement, that was pretty good.
Oh my god, are you really going through all of this? Detroit.
Yeah, and the Detroit Pistons. I didn't like the Detroit Pistons. Like, when you finish this podcast, and anyone that's listening to this podcast, if you haven't heard of this before, Google the Malice at the Palace, and it was a fight between the Detroit Pistons and the Indiana Pacers. I think it was back in 2004. It started with a player called Ron Artest that got a drink thrown at him from the crowd in Detroit, and the next thing you know, it just all kicks off.
Really?
It's incredible to watch. It's really funny, but it's
funny but serious.
Yeah, it's funny but serious. It's a full-blown brawl between NBA fans and the opposite team and the players as well. Like, the suspensions that were handed out afterwards, like Jermaine O'Neal got banned for the rest of the year, Ron Artest got banned for the rest of the year. The suspensions were huge, and we're talking like 60, 70 game suspensions here. So
because of somebody threw a drink at someone.
Yeah, honestly, you should. The Malice at the Palace. As soon as you finish this podcast, go and watch it. I'm sure loads of people that from America have heard of it, have obviously seen it before, but I'm sure there's a lot of people over here on this side of the pond that hasn't heard of it.
I'm surprised you've heard of it, because you're not keen on baseball.
Basketball, mate.
Oh, is it basketball? That was baseball.
No, basketball.
Right.
No, go check it out. It's certainly entertaining.
Baseball.
Yeah, you'll love it. You'll watch it several times, I guarantee.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, I'll have to watch that then. Okay. All right, well, you've just taken us off down a different path, so I'll try and drag it back on there, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Previous games by the Lions. They were at the Cardinals, tied 27-27. Chargers, they won that against the Chargers, which was great. Thank you very much for the Detroit Lions for that. They beat them 13-10. And then they won at the Eagles 27-24. So when you look at that, they've only scored a maximum of 27 points.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to get creamed, mate.
27 points isn't going to be enough this.
It's not, is it?
This Sunday, the Detroit Lions could quite easily beat 0-3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their record, they're going to this game 2-0-1.
They should have won the Cardinals game,
but they could have quite easily lost that game as well.
Yeah,
after having such a big lead going into the fourth quarter, the Cardinals brought it back and obviously went to overtime, and anyone can win in overtime. Like, it's essentially a coin toss, as we know. But that game ended up a draw. The game against the Chargers special teams royally fucked that up.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
As they normally do. Kickers cost them, turnovers cost them. Phil Rivers threw a terrible interception. So that's a game that they probably should have lost as well, the Detroit Lions. And then last week, I don't know what was wrong with the Philadelphia Eagles receivers' hands, but they were dropping everything.
Yeah.
Literally everything. And if they make 2 or 3 more catches, then that game is, or even one more catch, you could argue, and it's a completely different result. So the Detroit Lions have been treading on a very, very fine line through this first 3 weeks of the season, and I think their luck is going to run out massively this Sunday.
Yeah. What do you think are going to be their pro kind of, their pro attributes to this game? Do you think they're going to cause us problems in any particular area?
I kind of like their receiver group. Golladay's obviously taking a step up. I've always liked Marvin Jones. He's made such a good little career for himself from Cincinnati to Detroit. And when he's come to Detroit, he's become like one of those reliable guys, like an Anquan Boldin, like not to the levels of Larry Fitzgerald, but along that sort of lines where you just know you can rely on him, and he just makes plays, ticks over every single game with a few receptions, and he's going to be a guy that the Chiefs need to know where he is at all times. And they've got Damian Amendola as well, who in spurts can be quite good. He was quite good week 1, and then week 2 and week 3 he's fallen off a little bit, but he's certainly capable of making plays. So yeah, I do think that this is probably the toughest test that our DBs have faced in terms of wide receivers so far this season.
Yeah, it just says on the injury report, Danny Amendola has a problem with his chest and didn't participate in training on Wednesday, apparently. I don't know what it is today, but
as an asthmatic, I can sympathise with him.
Yeah. Yeah. You asthmatic?
I am, mate.
No way.
Yeah, do you want me to ring my mum and tell her?
Yeah, please. Yeah, I'm not having that. Yeah, let's get your mum on again. That's great.
Mum, what disease have I got? Or condition?
Condition. Which one, love? Which one? Well, you put cream on it, don't you? Yeah, no, not that one, Mum. Not that one.
Shut up, Mum. Shut it.
Shut up, Mum. All right, that's enough for me, Mum. Thanks. Yeah. Well, I've got them down as the Lions. They looked from the previous games. They've got a good short passing game.
They do.
They seem to use the slants, flats. It's Stafford's preferred choice, basically. Mm-hmm. And they do seem to do pretty well in that area. The O-line looked decent.
It is decent.
It is decent,
very decent,
and it really does open that running game for them, which it did. Well, it can cause us problems with, as we've seen against the Ravens, but. Stafford's not really a mobile quarterback, is he?
He's not, and it seems like he's lost a bit on the arm as well because, like, in yesterday he was throwing it long, and obviously he had the benefit of having Megatron there, where he could just throw it up and Megatron would go.
He'd catch everything, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he'd just go up and get it and rebound and do his thing, but he obviously doesn't have that option anymore, so he has to be a little bit more conservative with the ball. But the O-line are certainly giving him the protection so far this season. It's going to be really tough for Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Ogba to try and make a difference this week up front. I think this game is going to be won and lost on the defensive side of the ball by the DBs and see how they hold up, because like I said earlier, I do think it's their toughest test. Kerryon Johnson's a good runner. They like to run outside a lot. No, tell a lie. That was the Eagles that were running outside a lot. They like to run against them, rather. They like to run in between the tackles, so it'd be interesting to see how the Chiefs' defense hold up against a run. But ultimately, I just don't think it's going to matter.
No.
Because I don't think they've got enough on the other side of the ball to stop that quarterback, the world's greatest quarterback.
Well, this is the thing as well, because we know about Darius Slay. He's a good corner, isn't he? Yeah. But he's suffering from a hamstring. Now, he did limited participation in the practice this week. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're suffering from a hamstring, you do not want to be going against the Legion of Zoom, do you?
No, you don't.
You're going to blow it out straight away.
Is that a new nickname for...
What?
What's that for, the Legion of Zoom?
Legion of Zoom.
Never heard that before.
Never heard that one before. No. I never mention it.
I don't know if you know, but I'm kind of a big deal.
I'm kind of a big deal. No, I'm trying not to mention it, but it's just...
Dave's not here, so go nuts.
Yeah, no, I should do, shouldn't I? He can't stand it, can he? He's like, shut up! I don't like the cheese of it. But yeah, they've got a bit of a problem at cornerback because Rashaan Melvin is also out at the moment. He's limited, so they have got some concerns on the defensive side because is it Mike Daniels as well? Defensive tackle. He didn't participate. So already you're looking at a couple of key players there that could be game changers that aren't probably fancying going up against the Chiefs.
Well, it depends. They're going to play. It's whether they're 100%. And unfortunately, if you're a DB in this league and you're going against the Chiefs, you need to be 100%. Sometimes, or more often than not, 100% isn't enough to even make a difference. I'm interested to see what will happen up front with Trey Flowers, because Trey Flowers obviously played for the Patriots last year, and then they decided to let him go, and he signed that big money contract this offseason, going to Matt Patricia, his former defensive coordinator, seeing how he does this Sunday against our two tackles, depending on what side he decides to line up on. But it should be quite interesting to see how he gets on. But I think the Chiefs I think you're going to see a lot of the Chiefs getting the ball out early this year and trying to find their guys and kind of yards after catch, because I think the Lions are quite good at stopping over the top, so you're going to see a lot of underneath stuff. I expect to see a hell of a lot of Travis Kelce this week, a lot of LaShawn McCoy and Darrell Williams out of the backfield. I think the receivers will still eat and get theirs, but I think it's going to be, obviously we've had the Sammy Watkins game, we've had the DeMarcus Robinson game, we've kind of had the McCole Hardman game. Travis Kelce's been ticking along very nicely with 6 or 7 catches every game, but I think this is going to be his game.
I think you're right. I think from a defensive point from the Lions, they do seem to bring quite a good defense, good edge rushers, I thought, from the previous games.
Considering they rush 4 so many times, and just rush 4, they do manage to get quite a bit of pressure. There was several times that Carson Wentz was running for his life on Sunday, but even when he was running for his life, he was getting the ball away. But honestly, those receivers for the Eagles, they were coming short to catch everything, but they weren't catching. They couldn't catch a cold last Sunday. They were that bad. And so far, we haven't really had an issue with drops with the Chiefs receivers. Like, there's been a couple that have got away, but in the majority they've been fairly solid so far this season with their hands.
One thing I did notice with the Lions is they didn't particularly like the screenplays against them. They seem to open up quite a bit for quarterbacks dumping it off to the running back and just gaining loads of yards from that. So that could be something that Andy Reid, he loves a good screenplay, doesn't he?
It's a good point that you've kind of indirectly brought up about like the screen game, because if we could have picked any team to play the Lions for us to scout against, it would be the Eagles. It would be Doug Peterson and that offense, because I would argue that they're probably the closest offense to us in the league in terms of the way we set up, and you've got the big playability, but you've also got the cleverness, and you've got like a brilliant offensive coordinator in mind. Obviously, you've got Sean McVay, who runs a very different offense, but he's equally as clever as, say, a Doug Peterson. So I do think the Chiefs would have, obviously they're going to look at all the film, but it's kind of like a perfect setup for us, because they can now look at the film, see what worked for the Eagles and what they can take out their own offense that necessarily didn't work for the Eagles, and then try things that do work. Like, you could argue, if you wanted common opponents, you'd want the teams to play the Eagles, then the Bears, then the Chiefs, and then you've got all the film you need, because you have Doug Peterson, Matt Nagy, then Andy Reid. But yeah, it's kind of a good setup game, and I think that's why the Chiefs are going to have such a fun time on Sunday. Like, it is going to be like a cakewalk. I'm talking like Raiders in the second quarter, cakewalk for the Chiefs.
It's in a dome as well, and it's going to be no air.
We haven't even talked about that yet.
We haven't even mentioned it, have we? No. I mean, Mahomes in a dome.
I've got some stats for you here. Right.
Go on.
Mahomes in a dome at college whilst he's at Texas Tech. He played 4 games in a dome. Okay. Yep. He averaged 492 yards a game.
Averaged.
Okay, this is Texas 12. This is Texas Tech. This is Big 12 football. So Big 12 football essentially is like playing Madden on easy mode. It really is. But
we need to get sponsored by Madden, don't we?
We do. Not PFF. But nonetheless, 492 yards average. He averages 5 touchdowns a game and 1 interception a game in a dome.
Man, this is going to be tasty, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think the impressive thing there is that he averages 1 interception a game when he's throwing 500 yards nearly a game. His teams are putting up 40 to 60 points, and he's only
in the college game, yeah?
Yeah, in the college, and so he still only averages 1 interception a game. Do you say, is that how good he is at looking after the ball? PFF? Or do you look at it the other way and say, how shit must the Big 12 defenses be? I'm leaning towards how bad the Big 12 defenses must be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you watched Big 12 football?
No.
No, it's not good. Like, it's fun. It is fun. But
it's not a good standard, no.
No, it's like offensively it's quite good, but again, you could say that's because of the bad defenses. Like Oklahoma, Kansas are terrible. Texas Tech are Texas Tech. Yeah, it's a Baylor. Baylor was good when they had RG3.
Yeah,
like there's some good teams in there. Obviously, Baker Mayfield played in the Big 12, but that's about it. There's some bad teams, there's some really bad teams, and there's a couple of good teams. If you want to shoot out and have points, watch Big 12 football. But if you actually want football, don't watch it.
Proper really football, yeah.
But this is why teams were so apprehensive about drafting Mahomes in the first place, because they said, "Oh, look at the conference he's playing. He's playing Big 12, where there's no defense. So how does it translate?" And obviously you've got Cliff Kingsbury now, who was Texas Tech head coach, gone to Arizona. So now it'd be interesting to see how a Big 12 coach moves into the program, to see how he gets along. But getting back to the point, yeah, Mahomes in the dome, he's going to light it up.
Yeah. You just feel it, don't you?
You do, yeah.
You just feel it. You just feel it. And especially if the cornerbacks aren't particularly healthy, fit, or anything like that, I think he's going to have a big game. I think is this going to be the first 500-yard game?
No, I don't think he's going to do. I don't think he's going to get one.
Really?
I don't.
Probably 4 something. Would you say?
I think the defense is too good for him to get one.
Yeah.
But then again, I suppose he was 1 penalty away from getting it in Oakland.
Yeah.
Maybe not this week. Maybe not this week, but yeah, okay. I'll settle that he gets 1 this season.
Which player are you particularly looking forward to watching on the Lions?
Slay. Darius Slay. Only because I think he might be a Chiefs player within the next 5 weeks.
Do you know what? There's quite a few people stirring that pot now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Trying
Hashtag,
to get
where's Darius?
Where's Darius?
I'm colorblind.
I'm thinking
Some
TJ
reference.
Hawkinson might have a good game against it because I think that I think it'd be too tempting for Stafford to throw to him. But I also think that this is where we get the interception from Matthew.
Potentially.
Yeah.
He might have a good game. The Chiefs obviously shut down Mark Andrews last week for the Ravens, and he was considered their biggest receiving threat. But I do think that the Lions offer a little bit more than just TJ Hawkinson.
It's a big lad, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is a big lad. He's drafted 10th overall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was a really high draft pick. So yeah, he might get his fill. But I think you're right. I think Honey Badger was so close last week.
Yeah, he wasn't it? A couple of occasions.
I think the D are going to get a few turnovers this week. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch.
They're going to have to start doing it, aren't they? Getting some turnovers in. I mean, they don't need to, but it'd be nice to have some, wouldn't it? It'd be lovely to have some. The game is going to start over here at 6 p.m. We haven't had a late one for 4 weeks, mate.
No, but we've got several coming.
Yeah, let's just enjoy it. At 6 p.m. I thought, yeah, that's all right. And it's not even on Sky this week, so that's a good thing. So our Game Pass is back in play again. What's the prediction from you for this game?
Okay.
Score prediction.
I thought long and hard about this.
Oh, have you? You haven't been doing analytics with PFF, have you, to work out your score?
I have a formula, and the formula involves me copying a score from before. So I'm going to say that the Kansas City Chiefs win against the Detroit Lions 45-10. A repeat of the 2015 score that happened in Wembley Stadium, London, England.
That's just poetic, that, mate.
Boom.
That would be just poetic, wouldn't it?
It'd be like a few years ago when Stoke beat Bolton 5-0 in the FA Cup semi-final. And then, obviously, we don't want this to happen. But when Bolton then played Stoke in the next league game, Bolton beat Stoke 5-0.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was kind of poetic.
Right. Yeah, I suppose, yeah. And then, I suppose we've got the poetic side of it as well, where the Royals won on the same day the Chiefs won in the UK. And they won the World Series.
They did. They did.
I'm going to give the Lions 27 points because they've been doing that quite consistently.
Okay.
So I'm going to give them 27 points, but I'm also going to give the Chiefs 37.
10 points. That's conservative for you.
Yeah, it is quite conservative, yeah. But I think I'm not overly convinced with our defense at the minute, but like you said, a couple of turnovers might just change all of that. I just think they just need to knit in a little bit more. Just work out what style they're going to be. But yeah, I think it's going to be 37-27. But I like your score better.
So do I, but I'll take yours. A win's a win at the end of the day.
Exactly.
As long as they keep scoring points, we're going to be fine.
Yeah?
Yep.
Good. Right. All right then. I think that's our thoughts for the Arrowheads Abroad podcast.
Can I just butt in 1 second?
Go on. What?
I have some news regarding the meetup. Ooh.
Have you?
Bristol.
I thought you were going to mention Newcastle again.
No. Newcastle.
That's all sorted, mate.
That's all sorted. If you're coming to Newcastle, we've got this sorted. If you're not booked yet for Newcastle, get booked because it's going to be incredible. But we finally have a venue for Bristol.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to Sam Matthews, Chiefs fan from Western-super-Mare, also my brother-in-law, for sorting this out because he has arranged a venue in Bristol for us. We're going to go to All Stars in Bristol. They are going to set up an area just for us Chiefs fans. We're going to have a couple of booths, room for about 20 to 30 people, and we're going to go there, watch the game, and just have a lovely time, as I say every time about a meet.
I thought you were going to say it was in Sam's backyard then.
No.
The way you were going on there, I thought, God.
Sam's mum is cooking. It's going to be absolutely fine. No.
Pizza and chips, jelly and ice cream after.
It's going to be great. That's for the Raiders game on December the 1st. So yeah, if you can make it, for you guys in the southwest or you Exeter Chiefs fans, so you guys in Wales, Gloucester, that sort of way, Swindon, get yourself to Bristol. I'll be there. Sam will be there. There'll be several other Chiefs fans there. Get yourselves there. let's have a few drinks, let's watch the Chiefs beat the Raiders again, and then just have a lovely time.
It's getting boring now. It's beating the Raiders all the time.
It's just this Mahomes mania. It's just getting boring.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Don't take him for granted.
All right, then. That's great. Right, well, I think we'll leave it there, bud. So, yeah, if you've got any thoughts for the Arrowheads Abroad podcast, obviously let us know at the Twitter page at KCChiefs_UK. And from one kingdom to another, we'll speak to you again soon.